Unscaled. In this episode, we're going to look at Impact Wrestling from this past week, and we kick things off with a match between Jake Crist and Willie Mack. There was nothing real special here, it was just an okay match. I'm giving this a 4 because it wasn't long before Dave Crist interrupted to cause the disqualification, and then that brought down Tommy Dreamer to make the save. This led into a tag team match where Tommy Dreamer would then team up with Willie Mack to take on both Jake and Dave Crist. This segment was a little bit better. I'm going to give this a 5.5. It was great to see Tommy Dreamer, but it is obvious that he's a little seasoned at this point. However, Willie Mack is definitely an incredible specimen. The way he delivers his version of the stunner and the 6-star frog splash, just absolutely phenomenal. After that is an interview with Johnny Impact. I'm going to give this a 5. Johnny can cut a pretty good promo. In here he talks about giving title shots to those who deserve a title shot, to those who he believes deserves a title shot. After that is a tag team match where Reno Scum takes on KM and Fallah Bahh. This actually was a pretty entertaining match. I'm giving this one a 7. For a big guy, Fallah Bahh can actually move around pretty well. Reno Scum seemed to be a pretty good tag team. Not too familiar with him or really anybody on Impact at this point. It's been so long since I've watched Impact Wrestling, but everything that Don Callis has been doing since taking the reins of Impact Wrestling, he's getting it back on track to where it needs to be. So props to Don Callis for doing that. It was a pretty awesome finish. Adam Thornstowe was on the top turnbuckle, and KM went over and grabbed him and then just threw him onto Fallah Bahh's shoulders. He caught him and just gave him a devastating Samoan drop. Backstage, we see Disco Inferno arrive in, where everybody's calling him Glenn. He has a little interaction with D'Lo Brown. It almost seems like Impact was trolling Vince Russo in this segment. They kept bringing up a lot of Vince Russo's bad ideas and treating Disco Inferno kind of like he was Vince Russo. So it was pretty funny stuff. I'm giving this a 6. After that, we get a segment between Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. Not bad. And then I'm going to combine that segment with the next one, which is a promotional video for Scarlett Bordeaux. Thing I got to say about her is, yes, she's very beautiful, but I really hope that she can wrestle, because if not, then Impact Wrestling is just making the same mistake that WWE did 10 years ago with the whole Divas division and everything. So since I'm not that familiar with Scarlett Bordeaux, I'm going to give this segment, along with the last one with Eli and Eddie, a 5. Our next matchup is Tessa Blanchard taking on Delilah Doom. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tessa Blanchard was the only thing that saved this match. Fans absolutely love her, and I see why. She's absolutely amazing. I totally enjoyed watching her and the 4-way match at All In. She definitely is an incredible female athlete, and given who her father is, it's no surprise. Giving this a 4.5, and that's not the fault of Tessa, that's more on Delilah. I think she just felt a little clumsy in some of the stuff that she was doing. Tessa, however, was absolutely phenomenal. Again, I'm going to combine these next 2 segments. First up is Brian Cage having an interview about his future championship match. For a guy who looks like Scott Steiner and moves like Apollo Crews, I mean, this guy, I'm surprised he's not in WWE. He would be Vince McMahon's wet dream. After that, we get a segment between Rosemary, Kiera Hogan, and Jordynne Grace. Now, I saw Jordynne Grace at All In the Over the Budget Battle Royal, and she was awesome. She really was, but she didn't say a word here, so this segment doesn't really fall on her. It's more of the poor delivery given by Rosemary and Kiera Hogan. I'm going to give this segment, along with the Brian Cage interview, I'm going to give this a 4. After that, we get a matchup that's a little more fast-paced between Ethan Page and Wint from the Rascals. It's actually kind of funny. I didn't know that there were still teams and superstars that spelled their names with Z's instead of S's. I thought that was a late 90s thing with the Hardys and the Dudleys, but apparently they're still doing it. But like I said, this was a fast-paced match, very entertaining. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Former NFL linebacker Moreland Greenwood was here in attendance in the front row and had an altercation with Ethan Page, which eventually led to Wentz being able to deliver an amazing springboard cutter and picking up the win. I'm giving this one a 7. Again, these next 2 segments are going to combine together. We get, first up, we have Tommy Dreamer and Disco Inferno having a pretty funny backstage segment involving an owl and Disco being trapped in a room with an owl. And then we're shown a video package of Austin Ace, who will be debuting next week. So interested to see that. So these 2 segments are going to get a 7. funny stuff between Disco and Dreamer, and I'm curious to see what Austin Ace is going to bring to the table. Now in our main event, this was pretty interesting stuff here. We have Moose and Killer Kross teaming up to take on Brian Cage and Johnny Impact. Now there's a whole thing going on that Impact and Cage want to get Moose and Kross out of the way so that way that these two guys can go and have a one-on-one match for the Impact Championship. As I mentioned earlier, for a guy Brian Cage's size, I mean, he's built like Scott Steiner, but he moves like Apollo Crews. I mean, this guy did a 619. A 619. No, he didn't deliver it as beautifully as Rey Mysterio does, but he did it. He pulled it off. It's crazy. On top of that, these two teams worked really well together. This was a really good match. And then something happened about halfway through when it appeared like Johnny got a stinger in his neck and was selling hard that he couldn't feel his leg to be able to stand up. So he had to crawl over to tag in Brian Cage, who had to continue on in what would be a handicap match. And for a few minutes, Johnny was just laying almost in the center of the ring. So it actually had me thinking, wow, is he really injured? Because the referee was throwing up the X sign and everything. So it was like, I wonder if he's really injured. But because of how long it was going on and because it actually played into the finish of the match, he's totally fine. Got one over on me for a minute. But yes, that injury was sold incredibly well by Johnny, and not just by him, but by the referee and the other competitors in the match as well. Giving this match a 7.5, it ends when Killer Kross chokes out Brian Cage, a bloody Brian Cage. Very similar to how Stone Cold Steve Austin was defeated by Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13 with the blood dripping down his face, and he doesn't tap out, but he does pass out. Overall, Impact is going to get a 5.68 for this week, and that's going to do it. Stay tuned. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.